Yeah, I think the big thing especially the more you get reps within the system is playing with more confidence. Both those guys are doing that. They're playing faster. With that, they're playing at a higher level.
Coach, with today we weren't out there, so we don't know what happened.
Yeah.
But maybe what or who stood out to you as you were watching that today?
Yeah, I think the big things from an offensive standpoint is we did start fast. We drove down the field. Theo Weiss made a big contested catch, which is something that he's continued to do throughout our time here from an offensive standpoint. Had a few other drives where we scored, other ones where we got to be more consistent and take care of the little things from an offensive standpoint. And that's all things. That's pre-snap. That's knowing our assignments and just cleaning up the little things.
Do you think there's any value in having continuity specifically in the wide receiver room?
Yeah, no, it really helps right now with spring ball, right, in terms of moving guys around too. We have specific X, Z, and H, but we're kind of altering that throughout different practices. And so guys within the season, because we want to be able to move them around, and so you can't just focus on, hey, Theo Weiss is always the X, or Luther Burden is always in the slot, Mookie Cooper, vice versa. So we want to be able to move those guys around and play to their skill set.
Coaches, you've gotten to see them more kind of on the field now.
Yeah.
What are your initial thoughts about how you can use both Nate and Marcus Carroll potentially in different ways?
Yeah, we're still working through that process. Today, right away, Nate making a few plays out in space, making guys miss, catches a ball in the open field. You think he's going to get tackled, right? No. Puts the juke move on, and then from Marcus Carroll, just physical, downhill, inside zone, made several nice runs throughout the day. Yeah, I think those guys as well are playing faster. That comes with experience, right? Confidence. Hey, what's my assignment? I'm already processing. I'm not thinking, right? I'm reacting out there.
When you're recruiting the forward for running backs like that, I mean, are you looking for a specific size, specific skill set, or was it just best available?
The big thing, best available, right? Production based, guys who've done it underneath the lights, and you want to have a different set of skill sets. I don't think you just want one back, right, from a skill set standpoint. Same thing from a receiver perspective.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about Brett Norfleet maybe carrying over from the strong end of last season, kind of about his spring and maybe some expectations?
Yeah, I think taking it one day at a time. Brett is up to, I believe, 255, 257. I mean, looks really, really good. Playing fast, playing confident. You saw last season, right, Game 5 going into LSU, just the physicality that he brought. That's continued. And from a detail standpoint, I think he's progressing as a receiver, right? We get in third down situations. I don't think going forward we have to focus on the receivers, right? The tight end should be a huge part of that.
Kirby, kind of looking back to last season, just kind of what are the biggest things you learned about how SEC defenses approach your offense and adjusted throughout the season, and then kind of how are you, if at all, adjusting your approach this season because of that?
Well, I would say I was kind of altering throughout the season too with our own personnel, right? What our guys do well. I mentioned this prior to camp or prior to spring ball, but from a defensive standpoint, the pass rush, right, shows up in a hurry. So some of those second and long situations where you're behind the sticks, just being smart because the pass rush can get after you in a hurry. The pressures from a coverage standpoint, you got to be prepared to alter right after the first couple series in terms of what people are doing.
Coach, with this week being growth week, just what did that process look like, and what sort of results have you seen?
Yeah, the big thing, little by little becomes a lot, right? That is firsthand in our room, right? You point to Brady Cook. I was not here, but from my understanding, the first snap in Fro Field, Brady Cook dropped, right? And you look at where he's at now, that didn't happen overnight. And so we just got to focus on the process, right? Little by little becomes a lot, and that's every position, right? Play to play, this play mentality.
Coming into spring practice, you identified red zone scoring as a place that you wanted to see your offense improve. How have you seen that?
Yeah, today for the ones, it was very, very good, right? From a red zone standpoint, those guys, I thought, did a nice job at executing, right? I do not believe we had a penalty with the first group within the red zone, and that was a huge part, right, of our issue. Statistically in the red zone this season, we had 15 drives where we had a penalty, right, and 11 of them we kicked field goals. So that is something we point to, right, very often.
Coach, I have this from Coach Mizzou and Steve. I know
lot of different pictures, very competitive. They got guys with experience. They got new guys coming in from a transfer perspective. I think the D-line, right, those edge guys who've gotten here, they're showing up in a hurry. And so they're giving us some challenges in every play, right? We got to be on it.
Coach, with spring camp being a lot about individual development, who are some guys that have, to you, really stood out during spring camp and taken advantage of that?
Yeah, there's a multitude of guys. From a quarterback perspective, I do think Brett Brown is a guy who's made the most of his opportunities. He has to continue to do that, but he's made some big throws the last couple practices. We talked about the running backs, receivers. Marquise Johnson has to continue to take that next step, right? We've seen what he can do down the field, but just from a reacting, not thinking process in terms of our play calls, because we do have a lot of pre-snap, whether it's motion, different pictures for the defense. So we have to continue to communicate, hey, what's my alignment, what's my landmark? So he's playing very, very fast.
Coach, can you kind of talk to us about the development from the first-year receivers last year going into next year, such as Marcus Johnson or Josh Manning, and their development that you've seen?
Yeah, I think it comes back to reps, right? And that's going to continue to help them progress over time. Josh had a big catch in the red zone yesterday. Those guys, the DBs, the defense that we see every day, the amount of press coverage, right, that you see in college football, you don't necessarily see that in high school. And so that's something they're getting acquainted with. And just, I think both those guys, they got a very high ceiling.
Coach, with quarterbacks not named Brady Cook, just what is the
Yeah.
competition and development among all of them look like besides Brett?
Yeah, all those guys, right, they're getting better through reps. And I think the biggest thing is to play one play at a time, right? We make a big throw, hey, that has no effect on the next play coming. And that's something we're continuing to work through.
Has Cameron Johnson been getting used to going back to the left-hand side of the line there, and who are some of the people that looking at to go in and make out here?
Yeah, Logan did a nice job. I gotta finish watching the tape here soon, but thought on the field he did a really good job from a right guard perspective. He's got to continue to progress, and the big thing, right, is communication. Mentioned our defense has given us a lot of different pictures, pressures, 3 down, 4 down, so the communication has to be at a premium.
Last year, you guys relied pretty heavily on Cody at the tailback spot. You mentioned that Nate and Marcus bring something different. Is kind of more of a running back by committee approach something you guys are considering?
I think that could, right, be the case. That's something that, right, we're still a little bit early to say that. So just really letting those guys, right, continue to compete and see where that's at later in the fall.